Welcome, I'm the Deadwood Jedi. This is going to be another Raid Shadow Legends video, and I am here with the final contestants of the faction games because we have gone through 5 different events. We've done Dragon, we've done Spider, we've done Arena, we've done Ice Golems and Fire Knight. The last one is the big doozy, the toughest one of them all, I think, Hydra. And so this is the most dreaded part of the competition, I think, for our contestants. For definitely some of you viewers, it's one I would definitely have been dreading to do myself. But we have 3 brave souls that have volunteered to take their time and build a team with the faction they have assigned. And I'm really excited to see what they're going to be able to put out. So this is going to be going live probably about an hour and a half to 2 hours after you see this video. And depending the length of it, you know, it'll be on YouTube the next day if you don't get to catch it live. But we're going to be on Twitch, twitch.tv/DeadwoodJedi. So come by, check it out. We're going to be giving away over 6,000 gems as well. A bunch of books, a bunch of shards. A lot of stuff we're going to be giving away, so it should be very fun, exciting time. And these have been absolutely fantastic. I know the community's really enjoyed these. Seems like I might as well introduce these fine competitors. So we have Mr. HellHades, we have Miss Ivy Lee Gaming, and we have, of course, Mr. Nub Raids here. And so thank you guys all for being here and being a part of this.
Thanks for having me.
Well, all right. We're starting on a good note here. I've made some...
That's what my mum always taught me to say if I stayed over someone's house. Like, thanks for having me.
Your mom seems like a lovely lady. That's great advice. Well, hey guys, I know you guys are here to do Hydra, and we want to talk about this a little bit. I do have some questions kind of prepped for you guys, and I want you to feel free to kind of go off on anything that comes to mind as far as this goes, because Hydra's extremely tough, and it's extremely tough for everybody out there. So my first question doesn't really have anything to do with your factions. My first question is, how do you go about building a team? Like, what is the first thing you guys are looking for? Is it the champions first, you know, or is it specific roles that you're trying to have those champions fill? Or are you looking at the heads that you're going against and trying to find counters to that? Like, what is your first approach with this? Actually, why don't we go ahead and start with you, Nub, since you're kind of the Hydra expert here. Maybe you can give us some insight on how you go about building your Hydra teams.
Well, I had the sneaky strategy when we were picking the factions. I was like, I realized on the test server that the rotation was going to change. So I was like, I will research the heads and the affinities and stuff that's coming up, and I will use this to my advantage. I'm not sure if I did choose it to my advantage, though, but I tried. But yeah, so what I did, the first thing I wanted was, you need a faction, and it's very limited, that can deal with Head of Torment. Because, you know, I think coming into this and having to not go in with Perfect Veil or Inquisitor Shamael or something like that, and have to just RNG, just pray that you're not going to get messed up by the true fears. Yeah, I think that's a recipe for disaster. So I think you need some sort of Perfect Veil. There's not many factions. We all have a faction that can deal with Torment. So that was the first thing. And then I think Head of Wrath is the other thing that can wipe you out. So you need to make sure you've got enough defenses for that. And yeah, I don't know, there may be some damage.
No, that's interesting. So your approach generally is, let's look at the heads that we're going against and make sure we have counters to that. And after that, you're filling in the kind of the rest of your squad.
Not even necessarily the specific heads you're going to start with, but I think you need something to deal with Torment in a competition like this, where you're expecting new heads will come in. You got to be able to deal with that. You got to not get wiped by Wrath, which is slightly my problem now. And yeah, you want something to get through the poison cloud, because again, we're fighting against each other for damage. It's not like I'll get whatever damage I want out of this key and I'm going to quit out and I'm done. It's like we need to do as much as possible. Like, you can't be sat there waiting out 2 turns on every head, just waving at them. So yeah, it's about the heads, those specific heads. I say those 3 for me are the ones I'd be targeting.
Interesting. Ivy, is that your kind of approach too? Worry about the specific heads, deal with that, and then you kind of fill in the rest of the squad?
I think for me, I wanted to make sure I could combat all 6 heads, because we don't know what's going to pop up. It's not just what's starting. But definitely the Head of Torment's #1, because there is a limited pool. But I think even dealing with the fact that we can provoke the Head of Decay now, I wanted to make sure I had Provoke thought of. I wanted to make sure I had HP burn or block buffs for sake of lovely head, the poison cloud that pops up from Head of Blight. Like, there's constant just having to worry about each head. And I think that's what this got scary with, is the limitations of that. We take for granted the wonderful kits that some of the champions have for all of these things to counteract each head. But then when we're cornered into only choosing a few champions, you realize how limited it actually is, and how maybe you can't quite cover all the bases you thought you could. There's not enough spots.
Yeah, I hear that. Well, Hades, you kind of have the same kind of approach when it comes to this.
Pretty much, I do try and focus in on the 4 initial heads more, because I mean, I don't tend to play really high level. I play up to about hard, which is what we're doing, and they don't respawn with different heads as often. But still, you kind of need to consider it. But yeah, I kind of focus on which heads annoy me the most, and can I deal with those? And in this rotation, we're lucky we got 3, which are really annoying. And then I'm looking for once I've kind of found a way to deal with the annoying heads, it's like, where is my damage actually going to come from? And I guess you can do that in a number of ways normally, but when you've got a faction specific team, you don't perhaps have all of those different avenues open, so you kind of got to find a way to get some damage out there. And actually, that's what I'm finding the most tricky right now, is like my guys are kind of going in and tickling away, but it's like,
right,
where's my damage? Like, who's going to start smacking this thing around? And there's not many around. So yeah, well, it's a fun challenge.
Yeah, I definitely want to get into like some of the limitations that each faction has. But before we do that, I was kind of curious because each of you kind of seems to this seems like it's pretty consensus. You got to find a way to deal with the heads that you have in front of you, first and foremost. And so I guess I'm curious, like, which is the one that you guys feel is the maybe? I mean, I suppose like for the viewers out there, what's the most important head that they should be really dealing with first? But then also, you know, just for you in these runs, which is the one that's giving you guys the most trouble? Because obviously, you know, if you have I know you have a Duchess, I know you got, you know, Rector Draft, there's some ways to deal with like the Torment head that are readily available for you guys. So maybe that's not the most difficult one for you guys to deal with, even though perhaps that's the one that the audience, it seems like that's the one you guys are all like, well, I got to focus on this one first here before I can even deal with anything else. Does that, I mean, I don't know if you have any thoughts on that, Hades.
Yeah. So the funny thing is, so head of torment's like, right, I need to deal with that, so I bring a Duchess. Yeah. Duchess brings me block debuffs and Veil and all that type of good stuff, right? So you think, brilliant. And then you get the head of mischief out, and the head of mischief's like, I'm going to pick somebody's buffs I'm going to steal, and then I'm going to spread that across the team. So all of a sudden, the head of mischief steals block debuffs, and you're like, now this just got difficult, because he then spreads it across all the other heads, and it's like, crap, now I can't land any of my stuff, which does damage. So you kind of end up dealing with one, but then having to find ways to counter the other ones as well. Otherwise, it's team synergy. You've got to find a conclusive team that's going to deal with all of these things. Mm-hmm. And then you've got the head of decay. It's just like, you know what? Everything you're doing, just going to clean it off. And now you've got to wait for all your cooldowns. And it's like, what even is this game mode? Give me clan boss all day long.
Oh, man. It's so true. It's funny that you say that, though, because actually, I think the head of mischief is the one I always target first when I'm building my teams, because I'm like, look, the head of torment, either I can deal with it or I can't. That's going to determine how good my key is. But the head of mischief's the one that can always, like, you know, really wreck my team. I don't know.
When you kind of say that, right? So I agree. But then when someone puts like a player power cap on a game mode, right? And then it's like, yeah, but player power is mainly built out of resistance.
Mm-hmm.
Who did that? What kind of jerk decided to put that in the game?
We're making this difficult here.
No, that's very, very real. And that was actually one of the interesting things when I was considering that. Like, you know, how much player power cap should I put on? Because I know resistance is so crucial for Hydra. But without that, the variance in the accounts can really skyrocket. I mean, you know, we just had the Fire Knight run yesterday, or 2 days ago, I guess, when we're recording this. It was on YouTube yesterday. But, you know, that was like, Smiley put out a 400 speed blind seer, you know, like that's, if we don't have a player power cap, the kind of quality of gear that he could put out would, you know, I think trounce some of the other competitors to no fault of their own. And of course we want a competitor, so that player power seems to be like a nice thing, but it really messes up when it comes to resistance. You know, I guess that's kind of a follow-up question. Maybe Ivy, you can, you know, talk about, you know, which of these heads you've been most dreading, but also kind of follow up, like, how is the player power affecting your builds with these teams?
It made me realize that when it comes to the Head of Mischief, I can't have everyone in high resist. It's literally impossible with our player power cap. So very quickly, my target was trying to have a target for the Head of Mischief. That was my goal. And then not having to build everyone with resistance. But then, if you don't build other people with decent resistance, you still have to deal with the Head of Blight's poisons if he pops up, or the Provoke from the Head of Wrath. So you're kind of screwed either way when it comes to the player power if you want to be able to resist everything. So even regardless of the Head of Mischief or not, regardless of like resisting the steal of buffs, you kind of have to be prepared to either cleanse or sacrifice some other stats just to have that resistance. It's a hard balance.
It's definitely a hard balance. I don't envy you guys one bit as far as dealing with this. Is Mischief the head that you've been having the most trouble with after Torment, or is Torment the one that's causing the most trouble?
I think I'm set on the Head of Mischief. I have my target for it set pretty well, but I think surprisingly for me the hardest head to deal with was the Head of Wrath. I was like, oh, it's only hard. It doesn't hit that hard. Yeah, it does. I'm really squishy. I wiped surprisingly fast. I'd be like, oh, I've only done a few million, wipe. Oh, 9 million now, oh, wipe. Oh, 15 million, oh, wipe. Like, I kept having issues that I wasn't expecting so quickly, even without having increased attack on the Head of Wrath. I still was surprised at how much he was smashing. So it had forced me to change my strategy and bring in champions I wasn't planning to, because I didn't think the Head of Wrath was going to be as scary as he is.
Yeah, that guy's I remember like the first couple of weeks when had because I don't even think he was in the first rotation, but when he popped up, all of a sudden it was like, whoa, what's going on? Like, this guy's just slaying. Yeah, total wipe. Well, that's very interesting. I can see that being a really big effect, especially with these limited champions that you have to work with, right? When you have the full roster on, to be able to go to, it's a lot easier to be able to sustain, ally protection or healing passively or actively, buffs, whatever you want to survive that. But when you only have one faction to be able to work with it, I know you're working with Sacred Order, Hades has the Demon Spawn, and Nub has Knight Revenant, and actually that's an interesting faction to be working with. Nub, I think Knight Revenant is not something most people would go, oh, perfect for Hydra, but you chose that specifically for this. How's that been working out for you?
Well, no, like when it came down to it, like, so I don't have a lot of the legendary champs, so when I was looking at the stuff I'd want to use, Sacred Order was definitely, I think it's the best faction for this, but I don't have, again, most of the legendaries. In hindsight, I probably should have taken Sacred Order if I'd had the chance. Obviously, with the way the draft went down, that wasn't an option, but I figured Knight's Revenant would be a faction that would not be chosen in the first set, so it's kind of like, okay, hopefully I can grab this in the second set. It actually ended up being our third pick, and I said, okay, I've got a lot of the champions here. They have Rector Drath, and I thought that's like a really good core basis to build a Hydra team from.
She's in all my Hydra teams because I don't have a Duchess and I don't like using Shamail, so I totally get that.
Oh, yeah. So she was kind of a big part of choosing that. The biggest problem with the Knight's Revenant, and something I would definitely recommend bringing on Hydra runs, is block buffs. Block buffs is really nice against the Hydra, let me tell you. And we don't really have very many at all. I don't have any of the champions with block buffs anyway. So yeah, that's definitely fun and very scary.
Well, that actually brings me to my next question, is like, what are the things that your faction's missing? Because with most of these dungeon runs or like arena, you're able to work your way around it. Like, most factions aren't completely missing skills and abilities that you need for that kind of stuff. And even if they are, there's, workarounds to be able to do that. But when it comes to Hydra, you need like 15 things with your 6 champions. So if you don't have, that's not in your faction, that could be a real issue. And you're saying block buffs is a big one. Hades, I know you were talking about lacking damage. Are there any other things that Demon Spawn's really lacking right now in this?
I think Demon Spawn's got a good variety of options. Like, they've got a good variety of different style of champions to do the jobs. But yeah, the biggest trouble is, like, they don't have that many that do multiple jobs. So it's normally when I look at Hydra, if I'm trying to build a Hydra team out of multiple kind of factions, and I'm saying, well, you know what, Udo's great because she's bringing me drop defense and a block buffs and a potential revive and a heal. It's just kind of like loads of different things packed into one. You've got Duchess is great. She blocks the Head of Torment and she brings a revive. But actually she's just kind of like tickling away. She doesn't really do any damage. And then if you look through the faction, there's not any enemy max HP big hitters in there, so you're kind of reliant on one form of damage, and if you can't maintain it, then just can't do the runs. And the Hydra gets quicker and quicker in terms of eating you, so you kind of got to try and get damage away as quickly as you can. And actually, it's just tough. But yeah, I'd say, damage is definitely my biggest weakness. There's champions that do other stuff, but they tend to do it, and that's all they're doing. They're just doing one job for me. And when you've only got 6 spots, sounds like a lot, but it's actually really not.
Yeah, that's interesting. I hadn't really thought about that when it comes to the demon spawn, as far as the variety of the skills they bring. And obviously, you're suffering. I would honestly say probably more than most, because you lost 2 of your top champions in Sissia and Kymar. And it does feel like, well, it has some pretty good balance overall as a faction. It does have a lot of high-end quality, which makes it so strong as a faction. And losing 2 of those is kind of painful, I would imagine. Ivy, I was wondering though, like, what's your faction? Because you got the Knight, you got the Sacred Order. They have a lot of champions, probably more than any other faction in this game. Are you finding that you have everything that you need to compete, even if it's not, maybe the best champions, but do you have that good range of champions and skills, or are you missing something in there that you really, really need for Hydra?
Like we'd said, and like he just kind of touched on, there's not a lot of champions that have a little bit of everything. Like, they don't fulfill the roles like an Ugo. Like, it has so many roles. So yeah, I've got block buffs in Fennex, but it's not 100%. So am I gonna use that? Maybe not. Like, honestly, maybe not. Or AoE decrease attack. I don't have that.
That's pretty big.
Gripping is also an issue. I have hope, but it's 50%. Like, is that really that reliable? Not really. Or Godseeker can at least decrease the duration of a buff, but is that enough when they put up a 2 or 3 turn increased attack? No, it's not. So I think the buffs are definitely going to be an issue for all of us.
Yeah, that's a really good point. I then thought about that. No AoE decreased attack. That's pretty painful.
Or if there is, I don't have them.
Yeah, right. Yeah, that's the other limitation, right? You have to use what you actually have on your account. That makes a big difference. Well, okay. I guess one of the questions that I have about this rotation specifically is, what is like the challenge of it? Because every rotation has their own specific things, right? So like this one, what is it? It's got Blight, it's got Wrath, it's got Mischief, and it's got Torment. Is that right? Or does it have it has Decay?
It's Decay. Decay, yeah.
Okay, so it's Decay, Torment, Mischief, and Wrath?
Yeah.
That sounds awful. So, yeah. What is, obviously, you can use Provoke for Decay, you can use Perfect Veil or Shamail for Torment. And Mischief, you need a resistance kind of champion for that, or you just don't bring any buffs and pray that you survive. And then Wrath, of course, does so much damage. This is such a hard rotation. I don't know, Nub, you obviously have, I think, as much experience as anybody pushing Hydra comps and builds and stuff. Is there anything specific about this rotation that deserves special attention as opposed to like other rotations?
I think that the most dangerous part is definitely a Decay cleanse coupled with Wrath popping off. Like, if Wrath gets increased attack, a cleanse goes out, whatever block buffs or decreased attack is removed, and then Wrath comes in and slams you. Like, he can absolutely one-shot your champions. So I think that's really tough. And then, of course, we're on hard. So most often, I think it's still most of the time, it does still bring back the same head. But you do have to watch out for the head of Blight coming in. And again, that can be really nasty. Like, if you get head of Decay, head of Blight come in, Decay cleanses everyone, and then Blight comes in and he puts out that poison cloud, and you're sat there going, they just respawned. What am I supposed to do? Like, that can really mess you up. So yeah, that's the main thing. I think it's just generally, maybe it's just part of my faction, because again, we don't have provokes really either. So it's the Decay. It's when Decay cleanses at a really bad time, that can just ruin everything. It just takes all your control away, and yeah, that's the main thing to watch out for, I think.
That's always a bit of an issue. I have to agree with you. Well, what about you, Hades? Are you bringing in anybody that to deal with some of these specific heads that maybe we wouldn't be expecting to see?
I must say I've tried a few, like, I don't know, people that I wouldn't normally use. The trouble, I feel like I've just come back to more stable picks. So you know, I've tried Tanix, for example. Tanix decreased speed is really effective, but I don't, because my damage kind of relies on the enemy having turns. I can't. There's no real point in decreasing speed. Like, there's no point. So yeah, it's probably going to come into a way more legendary heavy team than what I did, say, in Spider. Yeah, it feels like, and I think Hydra is probably content where legendaries do start to come in as requirements, or at least a good few of them start to come in as requirements when you get higher and higher through Hydra.
Yeah.
You know, it's definitely content which they've pushed to be much more difficult to manage, I think.
Yeah.
You know, I've actually tried to do all. This was perhaps before the nerfs, but you know, I was doing like all epic teams, and they were struggling to get 1 keys on hard. You know, whereas I've got good gear and good, you know, good champions in those epic spots, and it's still tough. So yeah, I think I'll be interested to see what some of the other guys do, but I definitely feel like I've gone for some of the big hitters. Yeah, more so than other stuff that I've done.
I mean, that makes sense. This is, you know, in my opinion, I think most people would agree, this is the end game content. This is the most high level content that we have available to us right now.
The Goat Squad need a win. We really need a win, guys. Throw this one for us, please.
Well, I mean, I think that, you know, that is something we should bring up right now. I mean, I have the scoreboard on the screen right now. You can see it's tied. CSI and Scrubnubis are tied at 19 points apiece. Whoever places higher is going to win this thing. Goat Squad, little struggle heavy right now with 7 points back there. But, you know, I mean, I feel like spirit just matters so much. You know, also, I was going to introduce a special rule where the winner of this one gets 20 points, just special. So,
Sounds
you know,
fair.
you can have, yeah, I feel like that was a normal rule addition. Ivy, how about you? Have you brought in any you know, champions that we might not be expecting to see for this, or are they all kind of high level approaches as well?
I've attempted to. Now, am I going to use them? I don't know. I think it's like, I keep same thing like he said. I think I end up going back to my core initial thought of what I was going to do versus I try to experiment and bring in something different, but then that throws off another synergy. Or, oh, I take out this, oh, Deacon, yay, decreased defense, turn meter, but then I got to take him out because I need cleansing. But wait, there goes a lot of damage. Is it worth it? Yeah. And then I keep having a battle of removing one person really kills some aspect of what I need. So yeah, I think I'm gonna probably have 1 or 2 people that might not be expected, and maybe an unexpected build or 2 as well.
Oh,
so
interesting.
I think I got a creative build for someone that might not be as obvious that I'm curious if the other guys end up doing as well.
Yeah, I think, you know, I think Hydra's the one that's most unique in that sense of where, you know, how you build your champions and the champions you bring in is going to have like a really outsized impact on the results here. I'm really excited. Well, hey, look, I kept you guys long enough and asked a bunch of questions, and I appreciate you guys, you know, spending the time to do that, of course. I just have a couple more real simple questions. I think first off, we already know that Hades is feeling the pressure of having to perform to help lift up that Goat Squad team here. Ivy, are you, Ivy and Nub, both of you guys, are you guys feeling the pressure here? Because, you know, only one of you guys can get the gold out of this. Not even the gold medal in this event, but the gold overall, right? Your teams are counting on you. Is that pressure getting to you, affecting you at all?
I felt really confident at first with this Hydra run, honestly, but once I started doing it, all that confidence was like gone. So, lots of pressure now. Lots of pressure now.
I can see that. What, Nub, how are you feeling? You feeling like you're gonna pull this out here?
No.
I mean, no pressure. You're only the Hydra guy, so.
I know, yeah. It was like, I remember you saying with the clan boss stuff last time, you're like, oh my god, my channel's based on this. I have to be good. I am worried in terms of that, because there's a very real chance. I'm going super YOLO. I'm pretty sure I'm going to do a bit more testing, but I think with my team, I'm going very YOLO. So there's a good chance that it completely fails horribly. But there's that chance that I can push through and win, because I'm pretty, you know, I think the Demon Spawn, Sacred Order, they're both really good. So I feel like I need to go all out. So I'm going to do it. And if it crashes and burns, it's going to be interesting.
I love it. Well, I'm really excited.
Why not?
Yeah. I mean, you know, this is a time to shine for it. You know, it's always that debate. You go for the gold or you go for the safety. And I think going for the gold is the way to do it. It's the way to do.
Yeah, first place or nothing. Let's do it.
I love it. Well, okay, what's your expectations? How do you think this is going to turn out? You're gonna finish first? Where do you think this is the pressure question I kind of been leaning away from this whole competition, but I want to put you guys on the spot. Where is everybody rank at the end of this competition right here? Not the whole over, but like this event. Like who's going to get first? Who's going to get second? Who's going to get last? Nub, I'm putting you on the spot first.
Okay. Like if I was to like bet fairly here, I'd probably bet Ivy to win. I think she's got the faction advantage for this one. Then I think I might come second, but unless my team fails horribly, I think Hades is gonna probably struggle with damage. Like
Goat squad
removing...
last again. Is that what you're saying?
Maybe, but I don't know though. I don't know. Like that's the thing. I feel like you're gonna have a safe team, but it's getting that damage out. I think it's tricky. Like I'm very happy I banned Sissia. Let me tell you that. That
Hades,
would have been bad news.
Hades, you heard it here. Nub says you're gonna crash and burn and fail and absolutely embarrass yourself and everybody that you love and adore and supports you. What is your response to that?
Well, I guess it depends, like what type of damage people think they're gonna hit. I really don't know. Like with Spider, I thought, I'm doing pretty well here. Under a minute, this is looking good, and then everyone's coming smashing in with 30 seconds, and I'm like, I couldn't have even done that. Like that would have been impossible to do. So I don't know really where I think people will land, but I think I'm going to struggle to win. Honestly, I think I will struggle to win. I'll try my best, but I think I'm going to struggle. So we'll see.
Well, if you're not going to win, who is, you think?
Yeah, I think Nubs will probably win. I think his knowledge will and kind of experience in this game mode will just pull through. But I don't know. I mean, Sacred Order have got some really good champs. And I think it's actually going to be close. I'll tell you what, I think I'm going to win.
There it is. There it is. There it is. There it is.
Just because I hate
full circle on that. I love it.
Full circle, yeah.
Nub, Ivy, me. It's going to be me. I love it. I love it. All right, cool.
I'm probably going to lose that. I'm going to win.
Okay. All right. I like it. So, Ivy, it comes down to you. Everybody else thinks you have a pretty good shot at this. How are you feeling? And then which one of these other two losers comes in second? Or last, I should say.
I don't know. I do think I might have to say Nub is going to win over me now. I feel like I said, I felt more confident than I did originally. Than I do now, I mean, sorry. But I think I have a chance, but I'm super curious. Like HellHades said, what damage are these guys hitting right now? I don't know. Like, are you guys trying to aim for a 1 key and that's good? Or are you not even getting close? Or are you flying past that 1 key and you're feeling like, how far are they going to go past a 1 key? Like, I don't know, like, where they're at. So, I don't know. I think Nub and his experimentation with Hydra might really pay off in this.
Okay.
Sure.
All right.
Edward, can I just ask you, how much damage do you think will be the winning key?
Okay, I haven't seen any. Nobody shared screenshots, so I really have no insight on this. This would just be a pure guess on my part. My guess would be that. I mean, it's hard because I feel like the hardest part is actually the survivability of it, right? My guess is that you guys will probably all, be shooting for that 20+ million, that 1 key kind of number. And I think if RNG suits, I could easily see one of you guys getting a little bit past that. But it's so hard to survive when you don't have those max HP hitters, when you don't have Geomancer specifically. So my guess is it's probably going to end up being around that 20 million mark will be the top winning squad. That would be my guess personally. I would also, probably bet that all of you are going to get, to double digits over 10 million in your damage runs. But, again, that Head of Wrath could easily shortcut a run, without expectation. Not to mention, once you take down a couple heads or two, which one pops up? And, the viewers might not realize they're going on hard difficulty, which is not easy. There's a reason why I chose this one, right? You don't need OP gear to be able to be successful at this. But you do need a kind of, OP team, not like the best champions in the world, but you need really good synergy to still be able to survive because it's very easy to fall short of that number. But I would expect you guys all to be getting, over 10 million, probably around 20 million on your good runs, right? But it's going to really depend on your squads and what you're bringing. Like, you all have access to HP burn. I'm sure you all can find 1 or 2 people to do decent raw damage, but if you can't hit hard consistently with 1 or 2 champions, it is hard to really push those numbers, I'd expect. So that's my guess, but honestly, I have no idea. If you guys all pull up with 5, 6, 7 million, I'll be like, okay, that's how it works. You know, you're a little bit limited in what you got available to you. So yeah, definitely some. Yeah, it's gonna be a little dicey here. Yeah. Okay. They're not going to share where they're going at right now. I think that's reasonable. They don't want to. State secrets got to stay within the state. I understand that. So yeah, we'll see how it goes. That's just my random guess. But guys, thank you again. Oh yeah, go on.
I'm gonna try pull the cold brew from Ice Golem, where it's like really good chance to wipe horribly, but otherwise full YOLO. We're gonna try push as hard as we can. I'm inspired. We'll see.
First or last. That's the nub approach on this. I like it. I like it. All right. Well, hey guys, thank you so much for taking the time to talk with us. I know this is actually one of the most informative of these kind of conversations about this. Kind of getting your guys' perspective on these things actually makes me feel a lot better with my own approach to Hydra and just the way you guys look at it. So that's been good to get a little confirmation from the outside. So I just want to thank you guys again. Please take the time, guys. Go, subscribe to their channels if you haven't already. These guys are amazing competitors and have put a lot of time and effort into doing this, which I am just super thankful for. So again, thank you guys for doing that. We are going to be going live on Twitch on Thursday. It's going to start at 10 a.m. Pacific, 1 p.m. Eastern, 6 p.m. in the UK. So, make sure to stop by. We're giving away a whole bunch of gems, and these guys are going to be, I think if we learn anything through this faction games, fail or success, it's an entertaining time. We have a good time with it. So I'm really excited. We're going to be crowning the overall champion, and it should be really, really enjoyable. So guys, thanks again for coming on, and I'll see you all tomorrow, or I guess today for them.
So, all right, cheers.
All right, guys, till next we meet on the Deadwood Jedi.